You're not anxious because something is wrong with you. You're anxious because you're caring about too much. And by the end of this video, I'll show you the one shift that quietly hands you your peace back. Let's start with what your day actually looks like, because you probably don't even notice it anymore. You wake up and immediately you're caring about the messages you haven't answered, about what someone thought of you yesterday, about the news, the group chat, the coworker's tone, the stranger's comment, the thing you said 3 years ago. Your attention is spread across 100 different things, and almost none of them are actually yours to carry. This is the trap Manson describes. Modern life hands you an endless supply of things to care about, and quietly assumes you should care about all of them. So you try, and it slowly wears you down until feeling stretched thin just becomes your normal. Now here's where most people get the solution completely wrong. They think the answer is to stop caring, to go numb, act like nothing matters, pretend to be above it all. But that's not freedom, that's just emptiness. A person who genuinely cares about nothing is not at peace. They're lost. So here's the real shift, and it's smaller than you think. You have a limited amount of caring to give. Think of it like energy in a battery that only holds so much. The problem was never that you care. The problem is that you're spending that limited battery on things that don't deserve a single drop of it. The goal isn't to care about less because you're cold. It's to care about less so that what's left actually means something. Fewer things, but the right things. And Manson points out something you've probably already felt. As people grow up, they naturally start caring about fewer things, and they're happier for it. You stop needing every stranger to like you. You stop arguing with people who were never going to change their mind. You save your energy for the handful of things and people that are genuinely worth it. That's not giving up. That's maturity. But here's the part almost nobody understands, and it's the reason you feel worse the harder you try to feel good. Manson calls it the feedback loop from hell. It goes like this. You feel anxious. Then, because you think you shouldn't feel anxious, you start feeling anxious about being anxious. Then you feel guilty for feeling bad, which makes you feel even worse. One uncomfortable feeling turns into 5, not because of the feeling itself, but because you're fighting it. Think about how much of your suffering is actually this. Not the original problem, but your reaction to your reaction. You're angry that you're sad. You're stressed about being stressed. And that second layer is the one that's really crushing you. So what's the way out? It's almost insultingly simple. You let the first feeling just be there. Manson's point is that accepting a negative experience is itself a positive experience. The moment you stop demanding that you feel great all the time, the second layer disappears and you're left with just the first feeling, which was always manageable on its own. If this is already loosening something in your chest a little, do me a favor and subscribe, because this whole channel is about turning ideas like this into things you can actually live by. Now let's talk about why you're caring so much in the first place, because this is the root of it. Your values decide what you worry about. Every anxiety you have is downstream of something you've decided matters. And most people are quietly running on terrible values without ever choosing them. If your core value is that everyone must approve of you, then every neutral comment becomes a threat and you'll never rest. If your value is always being right, then every disagreement becomes a battle. If your value is feeling good all the time, then every bad day feels like failure. These are what Manson calls bad values, and they share one thing. They're mostly outside your control, and they never end. You cannot control what a stranger thinks. You will not win every argument. You will not feel good every day. So building your peace on those things is like building a house on water. Think of the person who keeps refreshing a post to see if the likes went up, whose entire mood rises and falls with a number that strangers control. That's a bad value quietly running the show. There's nothing wrong with that person. They've just handed the keys to their peace to people who never even asked for them, and then wondered why they never feel calm. Good values are the opposite. Honesty, curiosity, taking care of the people right in front of you, controlling your own effort instead of the outcome. These are things you actually have power over, which means they give you something to stand on instead of something to chase. Here's a quick one I want you to sit with. And honestly, tell me your answer in the comments, because I read them. What is one thing you've been giving your energy to lately that, if you're honest, doesn't actually line up with what you truly value? Just one. Naming it is how you start to let it go. And that leads to the idea that ties this whole thing together. And it's the one that gives you your power back. Responsibility is not the same as fault. Fault is about the past. It's who caused the problem. Responsibility is about the present. It's who's going to respond to it now. Manson's point is brutal but freeing. A lot of what happens to you is genuinely not your fault, but it is always your responsibility how you deal with it. Nobody is coming to carry it for you. That sounds heavy, but flip it around. If everything is someone else's fault, then you're powerless because you're waiting for the world to change. The moment you accept responsibility for your response, even for things that weren't your fault, you take the power back. You stop being a passenger in your own life. So let's make this real because none of it matters if it stays a nice idea. First, do a quiet audit. For the next few days, notice what you're spending your care on. Half of it will be things you never actually chose. Other people's opinions, problems that aren't yours, arguments that don't matter. Just seeing it is the first cut. Second, pick your few. Choose a small handful of things that are genuinely worth your energy, ideally ones that are within your control and line up with who you want to be. Everything else gets less of you on purpose. Third, when a hard feeling shows up, let it exist instead of fighting it. Don't add the second layer. Feeling bad sometimes isn't a malfunction. It's just part of being a person who cares about real things. Because that's the quiet truth underneath all of it. A meaningful life isn't one with no problems and no pain. It's one where you've chosen which problems are worth having and which struggles are worth the effort. You don't get to a good life by caring about nothing. You get there by caring about the right things deeply and letting the rest go. So here's the shift I promised you at the start. Stop spreading yourself across everything. Your peace was never going to come from caring about more. It comes from what you're finally willing to stop caring. You were never too sensitive, and you were never broken. You were just spending everything you had on things that were never worth it. Now you get to choose. If this gave you a lighter way to look at your own head, subscribe, because every video here takes one powerful book and turns it into something you can actually use. I'll see you in the next one.